reflection of God. To accept that you are, and that everyone and that everything is the reflection of God, is a leap of faith. You may look for it in this world, looking for a reflection, but it's very hard to find until you realize what that reflection is. It is beyond the mind of separation. It is beyond the fear of death. It is beyond all of the perceived rules and agreements and fears of this world. And yet, within every beloved is the reflection of God, the mirror of truth. But it hasn't been seen with the eyes that the temporary body carries. It comes through the vision of the heart. When you want to see the light and that reflection in another or in any element of life, it is to retreat the eyes and bring forward the heart. And with the coming forward of the heart, compassion comes. And through compassion comes the honesty of truth, that it has to be there for you to see. And if you're not able to see, then that is the call for help. It's easy to stop at what you think you see. It's easy to accept what you think you see in the ordinary agreements of the past. And for most, everyone has settled for just seeing what they think they see. And yet love is calling to see beyond. You can't see beyond without help, because it's not meant to be seen until you're ready to accept that it is the truth of love itself that you are witnessing and seeing. It is as if a door opens of light, and just for a moment, the reflection is there, not in the sense of 3D, but in your heart, in your awareness, and you see with new vision. You see with compassion that you never connected with before. Not pity. Compassion has nothing to do with pity. Compassion has to do with truth, the truth of love, that you want to see the reflection of God's light. If you don't have an awareness that there is the light of God in everything, you're not going to be looking for it. You're going to be in your old agreements of the past, seeing through what you think you know, assessing, judging, putting things into compartments. But all the while, seeing the reflection of God's light is waiting for you in every beloved, in every circumstance. Love is present. Love is here. Love is all that there truly is. And as you begin to see more through that reflection, all the judgments, all the assessments, all the conclusions, all the beliefs that ran before begin to fade away because they have no reality, and you're asking for reality. It's a leap of faith to want to see everyone as the beloved light of creation. It is a leap of faith because once you begin to see through the eyes of love itself, through compassion, your life changes. It has to, because you're seeing through the vision of God. And you're opening to the mysteries of the universe at the same time. And to see the light in another is to open to the mysteries of the universe. Because in this illusion, nothing of truth has been seen. It's only been a trance state. And that trance state has been filled with illusion. And when you consider all the work that everyone has put into the statistics of life, that everything that you wanted to see, you affirmed because it made you feel safe to know. This means this means this is about this is going to lead to this. All of the ideas of conclusions and opinions and judgments you thought were your safety, but in actuality, it has kept you unbalanced and afraid. Because all of the rules of the ego, of opinions and separation, fears, there's no purpose in it except to keep you unbalanced, to keep you believing that you are separate, that you are without, and that there is something to strive for, to get, to win, to conquer. And it's so much like trying to look around the next corner. And around the next corner is going to be your answers that you need. But the answers are never really clear because they're illusion. And all the while, love is calling you to begin to pay attention, to recognize the reflection of God that is present in every beloved. Within the world, because of levels and degrees and the use of time, the ego dangles in front of everyone good people and then dangles bad people, ones that are seemingly more advanced and hold a place of respect and honor. And then there are the rest who are not measuring up, making mistakes. And the ego wants everyone to be clear about who holds the light and who doesn't hold the light. and that you think you can see because you recognize their mistakes and their personalities, and you have a rule book that you refer to identify who's measuring up and who's not measuring up, who is safe to be around and who isn't safe to be around, depending on their fears and their pain. But every beloved has the same call within their heart of asking for help, the call for love, call for help. That call for love is present within every beloved, within every creature. And to be the recipient of seeing that call for love, we are called in the spiritual journey to let go of everything that we think we know, to open this door of not knowing so that we can be shown the real truth, the truth of love. At some points, everyone gets comfortable with who they have deemed to be not up to snuff, and those who have come up to a higher measure. But all of that's made up too. And it's been used to fool the ego into believing that there is judgment that has worth. But it means absolutely nothing. And while the judgment or opinions are running within your belief of what you know, you can't see the reflection. And the reflection is part of your healing. As you see light, innocence within another, then you can also see it within yourself. You can forgive yourself for believing in a temporary identity that never had any connection with the truth of who you are. But faith is what takes you there. Trust. What also occurs in the spiritual journey is that when you ask to be shown the deeper truth, many times the first place that Spirit takes you is to show you what you have believed in and what has caused your fear, what has kept you in the belief of being separate and needing to be defended. Imagine, if you can, that there is a way of walking in this world where you don't have any fear. It doesn't even occur because it doesn't exist. And that you do see the cry for love and the cry for help through every relationship. The cry for love is nothing more than your ability to be present and open your heart and see beyond what you thought you knew. It's not complicated. It's as simple as possible. The complication that the ego uses is to have stories that have to be dissected. When you dissect a story about somebody else or about yourself, it keeps you occupied, but there's no truth in it. It's just for a self-satisfaction that you think you know something. And in truth, it's a distraction, keeping you from truth and from love. It would not help to spend your life dissecting everyone's purposes and how you can dissect or judge why somebody behaves a certain way or what it's for. But it's to recognize that it isn't the truth of them. It isn't the truth of you, and it isn't the truth of them. If whatever it is that you see in someone else is something that you've carried as a burden in your own beliefs, if you have a suspicion that someone is stealing something, it's because you believe that something can be stolen. And more than likely that you've carried that temptation within yourself in some ways, as everybody has. But to see past the suspicion of stealing, or to see past your idea of someone's rude behavior, is to really recognize that that behavior it doesn't mean anything. It truly has no meaning. And that behavior is within you. There's nothing that anyone has not touched in their own belief of separation that they don't see in someone else. That's the protection. As long as it's someone else, the ego convinces that you'll feel safer because you can separate yourself from them. And all the while, love is calling you to embrace the strength of God, embrace the truth of love, embrace that you are held, embrace that everyone is God's creation, innocent, at the core of all life, completely innocent, and that there is no battle except in the mind. So now is the opportunity of surrendering all the rules and agreements that you have been carrying, all the rules that are built on fear, all the rules that you put in place in order to try to stay and be safe in the belief that you are not safe. And the greatest gift of all is to come to the realization that in your defenselessness, that's where your safety is. In the open heart of love that doesn't have to defend anything, because there's nothing to defend. You're safe, you're held in your acceptance of being undefended. You could make a list of thousands of reasons and ideas of how you defend yourself. But most of them aren't even known as defense. Most of the ways that everyone defends themselves seems just normal. within the world of agreements. There's the silliest thing, even the expression of a handshake within the world is an agreement of defense. What is the handshake? What is it for? It began as two enemies showing that they had empty hands and that they wouldn't kill each other. That's what the world is based on. Show me your hands so that I know that you're not going to kill me. We've come too far to believe in those rules and agreements, and at some time they have to be surrendered. And the truth of love has to come forward. And the opportunity is to embrace only love. Everyone that you meet or have contact with is the opportunity of love, the opportunity of letting go of judgment. Everyone has a defense system, but there's no help if your relationship with the defense system is to not know about it, not be aware of it, because then you can't recognize that it isn't the truth of you. Every moment is the opportunity of the call for love. Allow it. Allow it to be your teacher. Allow it to bring with it all grace and all blessings. Opening to love's call. Mother, I beg for your love. Why is it that these type of hymns come? I beg for your love. It's to make a distinction. When you're in your belief of separation, arrogance and victimhood melt together. And the arrogance and the victimhood says, everything outside is dangerous, and I'm going to stay somewhat separate as much as I can, and I'm going to observe and I'm going to judge where I make connection, where I don't make connection. And it's not even recognized as thought anymore or beliefs because it's on an automatic trance. So to break the trance, prayers and hymns, chants, mantras, they all are brought through into love so that you can break the trance of the arrogant victim and really find your longing, what your soul is really looking for. Because your soul, your spirit, is not in joy. At least you're not able to experience the joy because of the arrogant victim identity. But begging, which is not required by love. Begging is what breaks our trances. At least it broke these trances of what I truly, truly wanted, and letting it touch so deeply that I would cry. I would cry and cry and cry because it was so wanted. To end the nightmare of separation. Mother, I beg for your love. I beg you for your compassion. I beg you for your light. I beg you for the forgiveness. Help me in this darkness. Help me find your sun. Reveal the way to my light. Reveal the way to my Father. I'm a daughter of the Queen. I'm a daughter of compassion. Help me be in the light. Help me open my heart. Help me open my heart. Help me to be in the light. And those prayers are always answered. They're always responded to. It may take a while for the ego structure to move enough that you can make that connection. I'm a daughter of the Queen was a message that was part of an offering. It wasn't made up in this mind. It was the acknowledgement that everyone is the son and daughter of the Queen. The name daughter or son doesn't even matter. We've all been males and females in different lifetimes. So that's not the relevant part. But that we are the child of the Divine Mother. And all other relationships that were made in this world become transformed through the acknowledgement of the true relationship with the Divine Mother. That you are willing to be the innocence that the Divine Mother truly is. That you are willing to be free and innocent as that child of divine creation. Help me. Help me to be free of the constraints of illusion that I have made. Let that be your prayer. Not with shame or guilt, but with directness. This is what our Divine Mother is calling, saying, please come. Come and let me hold you. Let me assure you that you are the divine light of truth. Help me in this darkness, recognizing that every thought of judgment and opinions is a veil of darkness that takes us out of truth. It's an honesty. I beg for your love is not groveling. It's letting the heart break open where you have not been able to touch your heart. I beg, I beg, I beg for my heart to be opened because it's all that I want. And when you beg like that, it breaks something within you. It breaks your pride. It breaks your reserve. It breaks your distancing. It breaks your suspicions, it breaks your caution, it breaks it open. And it's received. Immediately it's received because it's the connecting point. I beg for your love. I beg for truth. I beg to learn what honesty is. I beg to learn gentleness. I beg to learn compassion. I beg to learn forgiveness. I beg. And with every begging, there's a crack in the wall that says, no, I'm on my own. I know everything I need to know. I have honed my judgment. I have honed my reserve. I have honed my defense. I have honed it all, and I am determined to hold on to it. That's the old voice. That's the voice that you're familiar with. Maybe not in active voice mode, but it's running within. And when you're sick and tired of playing a game with old rules and agreements, it comes down to begging. And the begging is the gift. It's the gift that you're not accepting it anymore to live in the old agreements. And you begin to question everything. You question every relationship. You question every purpose. It's not just for occupying your time. It's because there's a whole system that you agreed with, that you made, that has no relationship at all to the truth of who you are. None at all. It's not a loss. It's not a loss at all, because all that you're letting go of was what you made up. Imagine that you made all kinds of stories up when you were little, and you believed them. You had ideas of who everybody was and what they were about and how they didn't recognize whatever about you, but it was all your identity story. And now it's all to be just surrendered, because it isn't the truth of who you are. Not in any way. And all of heaven is waiting for your willingness to see it differently, to have a different awareness, and to be freed of all of what you've made up, to be free of pride, to be free of conclusions and judgments. If you could see the energy of a judgment, you would run as fast as you could away from it. Because every judgment is an attack on yourself and an attack on whoever the judgment is about. And what does that attack do? It's not a sin, it's a mistake, it's an error, but it automatically separates. It automatically affirms to you that you are separate and on your own. Because there's no connection with creation, with any judgment, because it has no truth. So you affirm your aloneness. And all the while, all of love is waiting for you to remember. And it's not that the love isn't within you, that you are the love, you are the light, you are the perfection of God. But if you don't recognize it, if you're living in another existence, you're bereft. As the hymn that first took me so deeply, I've cried a lot and have regretted everything in this world. Now I'm going to go and live among the flowers with my Blessed Mother. And all the fears that have appeared, I now recognize as the great rebellion against love. It's kept me occupied. It's kept me distancing myself. And I don't want to be rebellious against love anymore. That day of that recognition and that acceptance of that truth was like Christmas and New Year's and a birthday all put together. I recognized, I accepted that the fear that I had carried so diligently and so deeply was just a no to love. And I didn't have to hold it anymore. I didn't even know how to see the rebellion. I had no idea how to identify the rebellion, but I didn't have to, because in my acceptance, Spirit showed me all the ways that I had built fear and how I used fear as a weapon. Help me in this darkness. Help me find the light. It all works together. It's all about letting go of the past, everything that you thought you knew, your identity, your relationship with time, your relationship with believing in death, your fear of injury in the body, all of it, a place of pain, a prison, self-made prison. And you have the power within you of transformation and of forgiveness and of being freed. It's all within you. It's just making contact and wanting that more than you want the pride, the knowing, the arrogance, the fear, all of it, seen for what it truly is, nothing. Nothing. This hymn that I'm going to sing is the last hymn that Jose received while he was in a body. And he received it just about a week before he passed. And it was when it was first introduced, I felt his presence so deeply, and that it was like leaving a legacy of how to walk in this world in love, and the attention and the intention of honoring the truth of love. On the paths of love, we open our hearts so that we can remember we are love. On the paths of truth, everyone needs to pay attention so that we can all come into oneness as we praise the heart of love. Everyone surrender to the heart of the Divine Mother. This is the moment of humility, of forgiveness and of charity, of compassion and truth. All of us moving into love itself. In this moment of truth, we hold the truth in our hearts and we firm ourselves with charity and with compassion. We follow the truth, all of us united, as we sing and dance so that the divine will materialize. Let us all move on the path of love, living in our faith as we recognize that we are the Christ light. O Divine Mother, you are my comfort. You bring me love and faith and health in this world of illusion. Nos caminhos do Senhor, Jesus Cristo Redentor, abriu nosso coração para podermos seu amor. Nos caminhos da verdade, a que prestar atenção, para estarmos todos juntos para louvar o coração. O coração de Maria, vamos todos entregar. Esta hora e da humildade, do perdão e caridade. Vamos todos nos seguir nesta hora da verdade. Temos o Santo Cruzeiro para afirmar e caridade. Vamos seguir a verdade, vamos todos reunidos. Vamos cantar e bailar para o divina matéria de Zar. Ó Virgem Mãe Divina, pois sois o conforto meu. Dai amor, fé, saúde, para podermos chegar. Let us follow the truth. All of us united in one heart, one breath, one purpose. As the heart says yes, everyone is united in love. Stop being so religious. What do sad people have in common? It seems they have built a shrine to the past and often go there and do a strange wail and worship. What is the beginning of happiness? It is to stop being so religious. Just like that, everything can heal. What is it to be religious? You notice it doesn't say spiritual, but it does say religious. To be religious is to believe that form has something to do with it. And to stop being so religious is to really write down all the rules that you have made up. Every rule that you've ever used in your life, all the ways that you have used your rules, social rules, acceptable rules, right and wrong rules, taking all those rules, putting them on a piece of paper, folding the piece of paper, and setting it on fire, burning it up. It's not anarchy. to be without the rules that you have made. It's actually anarchy to have the rules that you have made, because they're not connected to love. Agreements are the same thing as your rules. If you have 10 beloveds in a room and one beloved is speaking about something that they think they know, every single beloved in that room has an opinion, unless they're choosing to recognize that they don't know. As soon as you have an opinion about what that other beloved is saying, and you're assessing it through what you already knew, those are your rules. Everything has a rule to it. Everybody has an agreement or a rule or a habit. You wake up in the morning, you have rules that are already in place that you have to follow. But ask, what are these rules for? And what if I don't live by those rules anymore, but accept the laws of God instead? The laws of love. And am I clear of what the laws of God are compared to the rules that I've made within the world? The laws of love. That there is no reciprocity for extending love. That no one has done anything to change the truth of who you are. That no circumstances has altered your divine self in any way. That you are incapable of death. That you cannot age, that you are not an age at all, that your name is not something that you're going to take with you. That how you see the world has been developed from the past, and that every time you look with your eyes and judgment comes with it of some kind, and you're not in joy, you're making something up. And they're your rules. The most magnificent part of healing is that you have the ability to heal through the light of God. And it can happen in this moment. That your willingness is everything. It is the linchpin of your journey of healing. Your willingness. Nothing is ever kept from you of love, of grace, of blessings. Nothing. But we in the world, when we have been in the world in the identity of separation, the block, the veil, is I want it thus. I expect it to look like this. If I can't hear it the way I think I should hear it, it's not actually happening. And then I have an opinion about that. So what's really being called for in your journey is to truly surrender all the ways that you have protected your mind, all that you think you know. You're not going to be left without. You're not going to be put on the street without the means of being held and taken care of. But that's the belief. What if you didn't know for days and days and days and days that you had no way of knowing what to do the next day? and you would just show up the next day. That there would be nothing that your mind could take and say, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to be doing it at this time. And it's not that that is evil or anything like it. It's just the attachment to it. The belief that you've made something that is separate from God. So you surrender the day. You surrender the day and just erase from your mind and your knowing what's going to show up tomorrow. You put it in God's hands and just leave it for the night. And in that, all of the fears come up. All of the discomfort comes up, the unsteadiness of not knowing. But it's a learning. I don't know what tomorrow will be. But I'm putting my faith in that God will show me. And just allowing yourself to enter into that empty space, that non-filled, controlled space. Now tomorrow, then you'll look at your calendar and you'll see that you already have an appointment. And you go to that appointment. But you go to that appointment having cleared yourself and not been so sure of the control over it. You start to let go of the belief that you're in control. For many years, I was sure I had received a message that I was called to serve healing for humanity. And yet every day I woke up and I prayed, is what's for today? And it was always go to work at the same place, the same time. And then it became the realization that that's where my learning was. And I had to give up my distress that I felt that God had made a mistake, that I wasn't supposed to be going to that job every day, that I had been called. Should look different. Didn't. It's all about surrender. Wherever God wants you, you show up as a surrendered heart of love. And it gives you the opportunity that wherever you're supposed to be, you don't have an opinion. Because that's what you're there for, is to break your addiction to opinions, your own opinions of what you like, what you don't like, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. All of it has no truth to it. And yet, if you show up, where would you have me be, dear God? Where would you have me go? And who would you have me be of service to today? And what? I don't know. And in that, there's a healing that's occurring because the ego can't compete with your willingness to follow God's light. Where would you have me be? Who would you have me serve today? Because every single time that you allow Spirit to guide you, to show you, to lead the way, you learn what it is that you are called to learn because you're following. Now you're going to learn if you choose to follow the ego of I think I should be doing this and I think I should be doing this and this is what I think is next. If you follow that, you're going to learn too. but you're not going to learn as deeply or as quickly because there's an interference. You're going to learn through the ego's decisions. There's nothing frightening about following God's will. The only reason that the ego has convinced that to follow God's will is frightening is because that way you think that getting control of something is going to keep you safe. The ego is then very happy to be in charge. But what you will learn when you follow the light of God, where would you have me be? What would you have me do? I don't know. I'll follow. Is you not only learn faith, you not only learn surrender and learn to trust, but you're making a connection with the divine, the spirit of love that is within you, and you're connecting to that rather than the false identity that has run the show for all the times of incarnation. So stop being so religious. What do sad people have in common? The ego. It seems they have built a shrine to the past. Everything that you know comes from the past. Everything. Every nuance, every decision comes from what you have believed in the past. And that was your mind that made the past. Not the mind of God, but the ego mind. And now it's time to let it go, to be free, to trust in the light of God, to trust that you are the son of compassion, the daughter of compassion, the daughter of the queen, son of the queen, the child of God, the perfection of creation, and the oneness of all creation as one. And the most amazing thing happens with the identity in healing is that you don't care about it anymore. There's no attachment anymore to whether somebody thinks you're intelligent, thinks you're holy. There's no fear anymore because you don't care. Not that you don't love. You love completely, but you're no longer concerned about your identity. There's a place in the belief of death, of having a tombstone. And I've listened to beloveds say, I want on my tombstone something very important. I want to make sure that it reflects my grandiosity. She lived a very important life. And then everybody could laugh because it makes no difference. It's like a blink of an eye of time. It has nothing to do with the truth of your eternal self. You'll be there laughing at the tombstone because it has no truth. The fantasies of wanting recognition, even in death, is pretty grandiose, but let it go before death, before the body falls away. Use this lifetime to say goodbye to the ego, say goodbye to all that it made, all of its meanderings of the mind that play its game of wanting to know everything. And be free, because your freedom is in not knowing. The idea of meditation and the purpose of meditation is to clear the mind, clear everything, be free of everything for a minute, 2 minutes, half hour, whatever. But it's a precursor, and it's to bring you into the realization that everything that you're thinking about is just stuff. It's not really anything that's relevant to anything. When you empty the mind, empty and be still, you empty and go into that quiet place, you feel the vibration of love. You feel the vibration of God. And eventually, the communication opens. Be patient and trust that you can empty your mind, and that it's necessary to be free, to be in the truth of who you truly are. And in the truth of who you truly are, there's nothing to prove and nothing to win and nothing to get. That's where love and joy fill your awareness. Because freedom is really to be free of the imprisonment of the ego. And no doubt that the ego's thoughts are always an imprisonment. Just in even the smallest ways that you can test yourself, leaving names alone because it's not the truth of who anybody is, and seeing if you can be at rest with that and enter into their heart without knowing their name. Connect with each beloved as the Christ light and not needing their names. The freedom of emptiness is actually at the same time the fullness of love. You're never without. Never. Stop being so religious. Stop having your rules, your agreements. But first, before you can stop having those rules and agreements, you have to see what they are. And let the Holy Spirit show you all of your agreements and all of your rules so that you can surrender them in the realization, the happy realization that all they were was an imprisonment of identity. You don't have to hold those anymore. And it gives you the opportunity to stop speaking in facts, not F-A-X, but F-A-C-T. Believing that you have facts that are really important instead of humbly offering a possibility. Maybe would be to look at it this way instead of, I know this, I know this, I know this. And it releases you from your own tension of needing to be the knower. You won't care. Can't remember something? Doesn't matter. God will bring whatever is needed. You'll remember what you need to remember because it'll show up. But there's no tension with it. Allow only love to be in your heart and your mind. Let the light shine.